Since I left you. Hello everyone, Ryan here, and today I'm going to be doing a rare classics review. All week I'm going to be tackling older albums that I think are classics, what I consider classics, and maybe many other people consider classic albums too. And today, for the first review of this classics week, I am going to be talking about the Avalanches' first album from the year 2000, titled Since I Left You. The Avalanches are an Australian electronic group that are known for their expansive sound and their huge amount of sampling that they incorporate into many of their songs. For its time, this album was incredibly original and fresh and unique. There wasn't really any group out there that could do this sound and sample all these different collage little snippets of music and put it all together and turn it into enjoyable, listenable and accessible, almost dancey kind of music. They were instantly loved by critics, and it's because of that unique sound. Like I said, this is an album, when I first heard it, I was just intoxicated with everything that was going on. Everything just sounded so amazing, and everything was just arranged in such a unique way. I couldn't really put a finger on what it was, but it just all was like incredible to my ears. It's sometimes quite hard to explain how good this is. But little did people know at the time that it would take them 16 years to follow up this classic album. Like, this album was so beloved that people wanted more from them, and it took them 16 years. It was last year that they released Wildflower, a critically acclaimed album. I wasn't as in love with it as Since I Left You, but I still saw a lot of good qualities in it. But it's because of the samples that they use. They have to get them cleared by legal courts, and they have to make sure that they're not defying any illegal requirements or anything like that, so that the music can be passed. And it takes a long time with the amount of samples that they use. And the amount of incredible detail that goes into this album is just admired. Even if you don't like the music, you can't not respect how much time and effort goes into this. I mean, the way they loop sounds and they keep you constantly engaged all the way throughout is just phenomenal to me. There are these vocal snippets that crop up across the whole album, and they add these huge dynamics to the album as a whole. And of course, that brings me to the opening track, the legendary Since I Left You, which to me has always been the perfect summer jam. And it's just fantastic. The Since I Left You vocal snippet crops up the whole way through. It never gets boring. I don't know how. Much of the music on here is incredibly repetitive, but I don't really get bored at any point. And that track, Since I Left You, seamlessly moves on to the next track, Stay Another Season, which continues those vocal snippets from the first track, but this time it's much more funkier. I do love the groove on this track, it's really fantastic, and I also really like how this album just continuously flows. Every track segues into one another, and it just doesn't even ever at a point feel like it needs to stop. It just perfectly aligns onto the next song, and everything just works so well. Then there are the tracks Avalanche Rock and Flight Tonight, which incorporate more hip-hop elements on there, and again, this is another sound that they can do incredibly well, and it has these classic hip-hop vocal samples on them. Flight Tonight maybe gets a bit repetitive, because pretty much the whole song, the vocal is "We can book a flight tonight," and it kind of gets a little dull, but I do love the hip-hop element to this song. I do love how the production on this whole album sounds incredibly extravagant. It sounds vibrant, but it's just in some songs, maybe it's the vocals that get a little bit repetitive at times, but it doesn't change how great they are to me anyway. But on Tonight as well, maybe the instrumental is the problem here, because the same instrumental comes on over and over and over. It's like a repetition of the same sound for about 3 minutes. But that's really the only place where this album falls short. I think for the majority of it, it sounds fantastic. I mean, it's incredibly unique. There are these disco elements that just make you want to get up and dance. and it's so vibrant and so eclectic that I just cannot help but admire everything that was put into this album. I would still go as far as saying it's one of the best albums of the 2000s era. I mean, I've heard quite a lot of music from the 2000s, and out of all of these albums, you know, I think the Avalanches will always stand out to me as being one of the best musical groups of that era. And considering they only put out one album during that time, it shows how amazing this album is. And people waited all those years for that follow-up album, and they got a good album as well. So they've got a big fan base, and they will always remain a great group in many people's eyes. To me, this album is an A. I will always play this during the summer months because it's just got that sound to it that just makes you feel so summery, and it's got a feel-good sound across the whole thing. And I would highly recommend this to anyone that likes electronic music, because this here is some of the greatest ever made. Make sure you subscribe if you like this review. There'll be more classic reviews coming in the rest of the week, and have a good day.